Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. Okay, let's see who's in. Austin, 108. Linda Lava Lamp, Jumping Ship, Art Generica, Shari D. I think that's everybody. Treen Deer. Yep, kind of quiet today. It's been a weird week. You guys have been saying, let's see, I think Shari was saying she had a bad week. It's kind of, I just do a couple things in the week, and it's weird because there'll be certain weeks where like I take this aerobics class so I don't get like totally out of shape, and there was like only a third of the class was there this week. It was like just empty, and there's not technically anything going on, and I was like really lazy this week. I didn't go to all my pickleball classes, and so I don't know. I wouldn't say it was a terrible week, but I was kind of tired and stuff. Not horrible, but there have been some weird stuff like I'll comment on like one of my work things. I'll talk to someone on the messaging, and then I know it was there. I saw the message go up, and then I'll come back later and my message is gone. Like I never talked to them. They apparently never heard from me, and I've got to like go back and check. I've seen that a couple times this week. Yeah, I did that already, so it's kind of irritating. I spent like 5 minutes doing something, and then the next day I never did it. So I don't know if it's just Etsy being stupid or what, but it's kind of irritating. Not nothing super horrible there. So okay, what's up with the elephants? Okay, this one was from our friend in Japan, whose name translates to Taro Eto, and I don't probably not the right way to say it, but Taro, that's your name for now. Sorry. Okay, so Taro was talking about these elephants. So I noticed this too, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to say anything, but the proportions of the elephant look off to me. I've talked about this before, but it looks like to me, I don't know if you can see, but there's certain parts that are longer, and it's not the happy to see you part. We have talked about that before. I don't know why. I was feeling cheeky, so I put that one in, but that's not actually why I added that one. But I did read, I think this is the one, yes. I have read that supposedly the happy to see you part is supposed to be the largest part like of that by body size of all mammals. I just recently read that. You'd think I would have heard of that before like a week ago, and I did study this one that it's prehensile, and it is they use it as like literally a third leg. I'm not making it up. They can stabilize themselves using their prehensile third leg. But I've covered that before, so this time, this is one thing that Taro noticed, and I also noticed was, I don't know if you guys saw it. Let me just see what you guys are. So Shari got the shaft on some stuff she ordered. I've been pretty lucky with my stuff, so I actually order a lot of stuff. So sometimes it's work stuff. Dave orders stuff because he's been plinking air guns a lot. It's just like air guns, you just shoot like cans and stuff. Air guns are really quiet, so you can just set up cans on the back of the hill. Plink. Plink just means like shoot, but since it's just pellets, so that's why it's really quiet. You don't have to worry about blowing your head off as much. Air guns, they're way more fun than regular guns. We have like a hill in the back, so if you miss, it's not going to go anywhere past that hill, so you don't have to worry about like shooting anybody, a half mile away or anything, which is nice. All right, so none of you guys said it. Okay, so actually, I just think the legs are really too long, especially these front legs. I don't remember them having nearly that much, and it kind of looks to me like maybe the chest area got like smaller, and that's one of the reasons these front legs look longer. I just don't remember them looking like that. And then these feet, I don't remember them being like so much material on the back of the foot. I remember it being a little more like these feet over here, where it was mostly in the front. So they're almost just like tripod stands now. So that's interesting. I do think that I've said it before, but a lot of them got really long tusks now. This is not an example of that, but that I don't remember being that long. And I think their head is up higher, so then we've got a longer trunk. But I also think the tail on this one's about twice as long as I remember. I mean, I really remember them having a little whiny, dinky tail that didn't do a lot. So this is like twice as long for me. And up until about 2 years ago, this happy to see you part, I was never visible before until suddenly it was. But you know, the timeline loves that stuff. So I don't know, it's been a slow Mandela week. So that's how come Mr. Elephant gets to go in there. Alrighties. You can see what I was up to. Alright, so this one, we've covered it a little bit, but there's a lot more stuff on it now, and that's those pyramids in China. So this thing's been kind of making the rounds that I never heard of. So supposedly there was an ancient sighting of a mysterious white pyramid in China. And the lore of the pyramid was this guy was flying over in his airplane and he saw it and he thought it was white and possibly bigger than the biggest one in Giza. He said it was guarded by the military and there were like 400 other pyramids around approximately, but most of them were like mounds. Later, okay, so we will talk about those other mounds, and the later story is that they are aligned with the Gemini constellation where it was in 10,500 BC. Okay, so then like the Giza one, I believe, was supposed to be aligned with Orion around that time frame. I haven't checked that lately, but that's the last I heard. And he said that the pyramid had a jewel cap on it, and it was 1,000 feet tall approximately. So, and then that's what people were saying, but also this guy got a photograph of it when he was flying over, and it was published in the New York Times in May 30th, 1947, supposedly taken by James Gaussman, Gaussman, and this is it. Okay. So you see some like kind of weathering here and stuff. It's not the world's best photo, but he's the one who said he thought it was like bigger than Giza. Okay, so modern day, they did find a whole bunch of pyramids. You can see them, I guess, on Google Earth, which has been around a long time. You'd think we would have figured this out a little earlier, but because there's 400 of the damn things. So these mausoleums were, okay, so the little ones, computer analysis shows that the layout coincides with Gemini constellation as it would have been positioned in the spring equinox of 10,500 BC. These mausoleums were identified as burial mounds that lay ancient members China's royal class, blah, blah, blah. Well, who knows, you know. Conspiracy theorists believe that the extreme secrecy of the Chinese pyramids can be explained by only one thing. Oh, whatever. I don't know. I haven't heard anybody really say much of anything about these because I don't think very many people even know about them. The weird thing is this whole story, like China wants to keep them secret. Ever since these pyramids have shown up in China, that's been the story, and it certainly covers somewhat for the fact that we never heard of it. But I can't imagine China not bragging about their stuff. I mean, it's really not China's way. They hide their bad stuff, but I've never had China have a problem with bragging about their good stuff. So they had ancient pyramids and that made them look more studly. I I can't really imagine why they would hide it. It just seems just all too convenient. Okay, so that was the story of the White Pyramid, first spotted, what, 1912, I think it was. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now nobody really knows where this one is, but not very many people are even allowed to go to the area of Shanxi. I think it's outside of Xi'an. Outside of Xi'an, the ancient capital of Shanxi province in central China. So it's in that area that all of these are being found. Xi'an Valley. You can see some of them. See, there's a whole bunch more. There's a whole bunch out there. So now they're saying, oh, well, that was actually just this other pyramid called Maoling Mausoleum. And maybe, yeah, I mean, maybe it is. Maybe that was that airplane guy, like, just so far off that he was only, like, he exaggerated it by 5 times. And it was just this mausoleum. Mausoleum. Maoling Mausoleum. So they're saying now it must be this one, which is a lot smaller. It's still kind of a nice pyramid. You can see all these little ones here. These are all pyramids, all these mounds. You can see they're pretty nice looking ones, some of them. They are flat topped. So this is the one that they're saying, oh, the white pyramid is actually this Maoling. The thing is, it's not white. This is not white at all. They're like, oh, well, then the light shines on it. It's going to look all white. I'm like, you know, the guy flew by it at multiple angles. It's not going to look white from every angle. Okay, so there's the old photo, and there's this one. Maybe. I don't know. See, it looks all like scruffed up over here, and then I don't really see it scruffed up over there, but there's a lot of time difference between here, so satellite images can't possibly be any uglier than that. This is the Giza Complex. I don't know why there's an H on Giza, but the point is there's like 400 of these things. Emperor Qing Shi Huang's mausoleum. And they're really nice pyramids now. Very pyramidal in shape, kind of flat on the top. This one's not very flat though. They like, see, look, this one's got all this, like, there's buildings in front of it sometimes. Very nice. So all this is not new. I mean, there's like, I don't know, it just I mean, these have been known since 1912, this one, and it's been in the newspaper, and it seems a little bit suspicious to me. I think that's all I got on that one. See what you guys are chit-chatting about. Dun, dun, dun. The feet are so thin. It was not like that before. Yeah, they just look weird. You're right. They are a little thinner, the ankles on those elephants. Okay, so yeah, there's 2 types, but they're not that different. In my old timeline, there was actually, okay, there's 3 types here. There's the African and the Asian. But the African has been split into 2 types now. So there's actually 3 whole types. But when I was, you know, a while back, 10, 20 years, that you really couldn't tell much between the 2 types other than the ear size. I mean, there wasn't like anything, you could just look at it and know what it was. And then the one was a little bit larger and it had the bigger ears. But if you had like a small one of that species and you didn't look at the ears, it would look very similar to the other one. So there were no long-legged guys. And my zoo over here has specimens of both types, and you really couldn't tell besides the ears. Now you can, because now there's a difference in the number of fingers on the end of the nose. I don't really remember there being fingers on the end of the nose, but now one species has 2 fingers, another species has 1 finger. There's a bump on the head of one species. Another species has speckled pink patterns more than the other. So there's stuff now, but there wasn't before. They were all gray before. Info about Atlantis and Lemurian keeps coming out. Yeah, you know, when I first started hearing the Lemurian thing, and they were selling those crystals that they're quartz, and they said Lemurians made them, and you know, we in the rock community are like, yeah, you know, we knew that those quartz can be found all over, but I don't know, it just seems like this timeline loves a good, you know, legend, so it just keeps more and more stuff keeps showing up for these things. The bump on the head is because of low doorways. Yeah, I don't know how many doorways did those elephants go through. You know, the other thing is my voice this week is kind of, I don't know. It's kind of like more resonant, but a little bit cracky. But yet somehow it feels kind of good. It's like, I don't know. I almost want to say I hit puberty and my voice is cracking or something. It's kind of, I've never actually felt that feeling. It's weird. Okay. Next one. Okay, so was that me who found that one? I think so. I don't see anybody else on that one. Okay, this next one. Elephants were by Taro. And also, this is also by Taro. So good find. Taro Eto. And seals. Okay, do you remember seals molting like extensively, including their whole skin, like an insect? Do you remember them like peeling off their whole skin? Because some of them now do that. So I you know, just the last few years, I've kind of seen images of them looking really scruffy that I didn't remember seeing before. But now apparently they actually like shed off all of their skin, some of them. And that one is the elephant seals and Hawaiian monk seals. Both do that. I think that's enough. So, you know, their story now is they have to do it every year to keep their fur healthy, but you know, it never was a problem before for them to just, you know, shed a few hairs regularly and grow them back. They didn't have to do it all at once. I really don't remember them even having that much hair, so all right, so there they are. These guys are basically totally shedding off all their skin. And so the story is that they have to go on land and raise their body temperature because the blood vessels have to come to the surface of the skin in order to get enough blood to grow this hair. So then they spend more time on the surface then so that they can do this molting thing and grow new skin. Most seals need to spend majority of their time ashore when molting. This is because the blood vessels need to flow closer to the surface of the skin. So just the idea that the blood vessels, okay, we're going to like grow out more blood vessels over towards the skin, and then we're going to make new skin, and then we're going to retract the blood vessels back into the flab where the blood is safer from the cold, I guess. That whole thing is just kind of weird too. Spending too much time inside the water would incur severe heat loss, as blood loses heat much faster in water than in air. Okay, so then this other one is saying that this other seal, the California sea lion, greatly reduces blood supply to the skin when it's in the water. So that slows down the molt process. This results in a longer molt duration, when can last up to a few months. Okay, now this is the catastrophic molt here. Did you know some seals only shed their fur, but also their skin? This strategy requires a lot of energy. Then the whole on land thing. Some seal pups' first molt happens after birth. So they can even be just days to weeks after birth. I mean, it's like there's really not that much point in even having a whole set of fur and then throwing it off like right after birth, but apparently that's the story. Then they're talking about how these seals can like start the fertilization process, but then just put it on hold, and the embryo just kind of freezes in position for a couple months until the hormonal cycle of the breeding and everything is done. And then everything is nice, peaceful, quiet. Then they kick in the rest of the growth pattern for these fetuses. So that's different too. Pauses, they call it embryonic diapause. Fertilized egg remains in a state of dormancy, preventing the embryo to develop. The development will resume within 2 to 4 months, depending on the species. So the pups will be born when environmental conditions are most favorable. Okay, and then the obligatory complaining about the climate change. Okay, so I don't know, kind of weird. And then apparently whales do this too. Whales molt. And there's a whole new story on that one. I don't think that's the one I had before. Okay, let's see. This is not the exact one I wanted, but maybe it'll say the same thing. Okay, so the new story is that whales molt, and there was I don't know exactly what it was, but in one of them they were saying, oh, it's very common during certain months to see whales with like chunks of dying skin hanging off of them. And I've never seen any images of that, but apparently it's quite common now. And the new story is, they used to say that they came to the warm waters to give birth, but they're saying, oh no, sometimes they give birth even in the cold waters, and the offspring are totally fine. So they don't have to come down here to give birth in the warm waters. So the story used to be they'd come here to give birth, and they live off their body fat, and then they would swim all the way back to the poles where supposedly there's lots of this krill. I always wondered why is all the krill in the freezing cold ice waters. But anyways, and that was the story. So now the story is, oh no, they only just come here to molt because they need to put their blood vessels close to the skin in order to regrow this new skin. And they don't want to freeze over in the... I don't know, it just seems like, really you're going to go like for a gajillion miles just to like renew your skin. So now they're saying, oh, well, maybe these whales were actually tropical whales and they only migrate to get the krill up north or to the poles, and then they go back to their home territory for molting, but not for babies necessarily. It just happens to be that it happens at the same time. But if they were really tropical whales, then how does the babies do so well in the freezing cold? I don't know. The whole thing is weird. It's just, you would think that over time they would evolve to be able to just grow skin in the cold. It can't be that hard. Other creatures manage to grow skin in the cold weather. Why couldn't whales do it? Warm water speeds molting. All birds and mammals regularly shed their skin in a process known as molting. Skin, fur, or feathers. Yeah, well, feathers, fur, yeah, but not skin. That's just weird. Molting jettisons harmful bacteria. I don't know. See, like lots of animals manage to keep the bacteria off without shedding their whole skin. So anyway, that's the latest story. It's all about molting now. I mean, I've heard of like insects molting. I have to say now that there's a whole story that crickets molt through many, many molts, and I don't remember that in the past. Yep, your voice is deeper. Yeah, I don't know. There's something weird about it. It has more resonance, but it's kind of cracky. So, I mean, I've been sleeping normally and everything, so there's no real, I haven't been talking excessively. Interesting. The girl with the pearl earring, I must have missed that. Yeah, cockroaches also molt, and I don't remember that being the case. All right, wait, what did I miss about Shari's painting? My husband painted that, and his painting has changed. Oh, okay. The girl with the pearl earring. Is that like some kind of famous painting or something? That's actually interesting that you guys can hear my voice changed because I wasn't really sure if it was just my imagination. Oh, okay. This is one I didn't know before, but recently you guys brought it to my attention. But this one just wasn't a thing for me, so I don't know it that well. I only saw it like once, and I think it was like last time. Vermeer's anonymous girl with a. Who the hell is Vermeer? Vermeer. So is that some famous painter guy? Because I have never heard of that word. Vermeer. I don't know. This is weird. Maybe you had one more painter than I had. Okay. So what, the earring is different or something? I mean, they're all changing, so I'm sure that one has too, but... If whales start getting full heads of luscious hair, that would be something. Yeah, the elephants are working on that. Definitely. I've had those on before, the ones with the hairy heads. It's now a girl, the girl with, oh, okay, so it was a girl with a pearl earring, and now it's the girl with a pearl earring. The earring is silver now. First change was her lips that are open now, and then now the earring. Dang, I swear I have not heard of any of this Emmy stuff. I do vaguely remember you guys talking about this one, but I don't remember anything about the lips being open. Okay, that's not the painting. It's a replica of the painting. So it would be this then. View file. Okay, so what's changed? Her mouth is open. What color was the earring before then? Oh yeah, it's not a pearl earring, is it? Duh. Well, yeah, not really. I mean, that's like the world's biggest freaking pearl. That could be a pearl, though. I mean, it could be like a massive pearl. I don't think I've ever seen one. I mean, they could probably grow them that big now, but I mean, That would still be a monstrous pearl. You know, though, thinking about it, I mean, this timeline, what size pearls can we get? Maybe pearls can be huge in this timeline, so she can have a giant freaking pearl. World's biggest. I forgot to put the noun in. That could be dangerous. All right. Yeah. Looks like they can be pretty big. What the heck is this? That doesn't even look like a pearl, though. It looks like a big, that's a pearl? No. That looks like jade. Fluorite pearl. Okay, it's fluorite. All right, got it. It's not a pearl. All right. World's biggest. How come it's not that pearly? It's, well, blah. Okay, that's a pretty big one. So she could have one like this big on her ear. Four biggest and largest pearls ever discovered. Byronic pearl, 34 kilograms. Pearl of Ooing, 9 kilograms. Pearl of Lao Tzu, 6 kilograms. Palawan princess, looks like it's still stuck on its shell, 5 kilograms. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty big. They don't really have their shape too good anymore, but okay. So yeah, she could have a giant pearl now. Mouth was closed, eyes were smaller, forehead was higher. So she's going to be maybe better looking in this one. The eyes do look pretty big for a human. I did notice that. It's a little, and they're pretty close together too. It doesn't look quite right as far as, you know, reality is concerned. I mean, who knows? That's maybe we'll get like that. Dark Wolf's Den is in. Welcome, welcome. Sweetheart 11 is in. Her earring was not huge and it was not so dangly. Yeah, see, now if they call it a pearl earring, that doesn't look like a pearl earring. So, it could be a pearl earring in the current timeline, but if you looked at that, you're not going to go, oh, it's a pearl, because it's huge. So what was it, like a little white one before, probably? Something that looked like a pearl. I wonder if there's any... All right, so this is a replica person copying the painting. What has she got on her ear? So she has a kind of biggish pearl, probably fake. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's see who else we got here. Another copy. Still a pretty big pearl on that one. So yeah, it doesn't really look like a pearl that much, though. I agree with you there. All of these look a lot more like these replica people look a lot better. Like, see, she probably got the biggest fake pearl she could scrape up, but it's nowhere near as big as the one in the painting now. She's got 3 small dangle things on. See that all of those are, that's a smaller earring. Interesting. Her bandana is too low. Yeah, somebody else was saying the forehead was higher, so basically the same thing you said. Alley Cat Whiskers is in. Welcome. Eliza POW. Pow. Eliza Pow. I don't know why I always call you a POW. Eliza Pow. That looks like a bowling ball. Yeah, it does look a little bit much, doesn't it? Okay, so girl. So what is it now? It was a girl with the pearl earring, and now it's the girl. I'll put this one in. My pen is giving me trouble. Come on. Okay, so it used to be girl with a pearl earring, right? And now it's the girl. I think I got it right. Like I said, I don't actually know that painting, so it's kind of weird. I've seen the real painting. It was not like this. Oh, it was the, and now it's okay. It was the, and now it's Let me just go to the all and see what Wiki's got to say. Okay, it's interesting because here it's just girl. Now it's a girl. It looks like it might be missing, like it may not have either a or the on it now. Because Wiki's got it as girl with a pearl earring versus the girl with a pearl earring. Girl with a pearl earring. Dutch. Okay, I'm not even going to try that. Going by various names over the centuries. It is known by its present title towards the end of the 20th century after the earring worn by a girl portrayed there. The work has been in the collection of such and such since 1902. Yeah, that is a big pearl. And looking at it, it's pretty shiny for a pearl. I mean, frankly, silver ball would be a more likely scenario for the current look. That's interesting. And I wonder if that will change then, because it's not really looking like a pearl anymore. You can see the replica people, the copycats, really struggled to try to get a pearl that actually looked like the painting, but there isn't any because that thing is super round in the painting, which it's too round for a pearl. It's too big to be likely a pearl. Not impossible, but, and it looks too like shiny gray metallic to me. It really looks like it's silver. And what was thought to be a very large pearl as an earring. So they're even questioning it now in the wiki. In 2014, Dutch astrophysicist Vincent Eyck raised doubts about the material of the earring and argued that it looks more like a polished tin than pearl on the grounds of the specular reflection, the pear shape, and the large size of the earring. Okay, just exactly what I said. Yes, they're going to be changing the story, looks like. After the most recent restoration in 1994, the subtle color scheme and intimacy of the girl's gaze toward the viewer have been greatly enhanced. So they're going to probably use that to say, oh, and that's why it looks different and different than you remember. The painting has gone under a number of titles. Originally, it may have been one of the two, painted in the Turkish fashion, recorded in the inventory at the time of Vermeer's death. Later, it might have been described as portrait in antique costume, uncommonly artistic. So what, he didn't title it then? The painting became known as Girl with the Turban. By 1995, The Girl with a Pearl was considered more appropriate. Pearls, in fact, figure in 21 of Vermeer's pictures. Similarly, pear-shaped pieces were used as convincing accessories in 20th century fakes that were briefly attributed to Vermeer. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what he didn't have... So they're saying here now, all of a sudden, since 1995, the title Girl with a Pearl was more appropriate. Didn't I just say the a second ago? I must be losing it. Huh. Anyway, I don't think I've ever heard of a painting that didn't have a title by the author. Strangeness. Eliza Powell, Dan Scare Performance just presented same Emmy pearl earring girl Monday. Interesting. Okay, it wasn't mine though. Shari, I think. Wasn't it Shari that brought that one up? It was a pearl, damn it. Yeah. Well, see, that's what happens. It changes, and then the storyline gives an excuse. Oh, well, I don't know. You know, there was fake pearls of that size that didn't look like pearls. And that makes no sense. You know, if you're going to have a fake something, you're going to at least make it look like the shape, kind of, or something. In German, it's The Girl with the Pearl. Just checked it. I believe you. I mean, they named it The Girl with the Pearl. If it had looked like it did now, I don't think they would ever name it that way. It doesn't, like Girl with Turban would be okay, but I mean, you wouldn't name it after a pearl, and it doesn't even look like a pearl. Okay, so yes, I totally believe you, but I have to say that I do not know that painting or this Vermeer person. I've never seen it until recently, so I really can't say too much. Okay, we got that one. The whale's molting is done. Okay, which one next? I got that one. Okay, what about... How many of you sneeze when you eat dark chocolate? Because apparently that's a thing now. When you eat dark chocolate, a lot of people sneeze. I mean, is this a thing that I didn't know about? So they're calling it a photic, reflex? Photic, I know I wrote it down. Photic sneezing, photic response. So photic is like photons. So this was an interesting article because it has my name on it, Eva. I guess somebody named Eva asked the question. Photic is like So I did cover before this thing where people go out into the sun and the sun makes them sneeze. And they call that a photic sneeze reflex. So I looked into that some time ago, and that was only talking about the sun, and it made sense then that it was photic. Now, I still had never heard of it. I have never known anybody who sneezes when they go out into the sun, ever in my whole many decades of life have I never heard of this. Where you walk outside from a dark room into a light room and you immediately sneeze uncontrollably between 1 and sometimes up to 40 times. Even the concept of sneezing uncontrollably is a little weird for me. I could usually stifle them if I really want to. I just usually would rather go ahead and sneeze, but I don't really feel like it's uncontrollable. It's just a matter of if you want to make the effort to kill it or not. Okay, so now they're saying this dark chocolate is like a part of the photic sneeze response, except for there's no light or photons, so that makes like no sense. The dark chocolate sneezing is a type of photic sneeze reflex, despite the fact that it's not actually caused by photons. That's where the photic comes in, from the photons, except for it's not caused by photons, so the photic shouldn't come in. So now they're saying the photic response gets put into kind of a catch-all term, photic sneeze reflex, meaning the light sneezing, or some people have sneezing caused by eating things that are spicy, like mint or grapefruit. So do people sneeze when they eat mint or grapefruit? Or chocolate, or go outside? Basically, what's happening is your body is having a reaction to a strong stimulus. Going outside is a strong stimulus. Like chocolate, it tastes good, but I don't know. This is just weird. A normal sneeze happens because you have some irritation in your nose. One of the reasons this is interesting is it's not well studied. Well, yeah, it didn't exist, I don't think. In fact, even when I was looking up the photic sneezing, there was nothing about all this other stuff. All right, here's the interesting part. They were saying that photic sneezing supposedly happens anywhere between 11 and 35% of people. So, if you know like 4 people, then one of them should have photic sneezing. And, in this current era, any strange sneezing is likely to get attention. So, 1 out of 4, 1 out of 3-ish people sneeze all the time over stupid crap? It just seems really weird. It's heritable. So, therefore, if your parents sneeze when they see light, eat dark chocolate, eat mint, eat grapefruit, whatever, it means that you yourself are more likely to sneeze. And it's a dominant trait, which means if you have one parent who has it, then you are 50% likely to have it. So I guess you just need to have one of the genes in you, and it will override whatever other genes you have, and you will get it. All right, now they're arguing over which chromosome it is. So, my favorite fact that I discovered while looking this up in the name of the syndrome is that the syndrome that is given to people who have photic sneezing, and it's called autosomal compelling helio-ophthalmic outburst, which stands for ACHO syndrome, which I think is perfect. So yeah, there you go, ACHO syndrome. Sneezing when someone's talking about me. Okay, now that's just kind of like that wives' tale paranormal thing, right? Since around beginning of ME, around 2016, I need more magnesium. Have to take even some days 1 gram of it. But now for some time, I not only don't need it, I also react allergic to it. So what would happen if you didn't get the whole gram? That's interesting. So I take like a medium dose of magnesium. And if I don't get it, it's a while since I've tried not doing it, but I would get nocturnal leg cramps, which really suck. So whenever I feel my leg even thinking, my just in the calves, even thinking about cramping, it's like make sure get your magnesium. If I had hold, I don't hold it in. I just um like stop it. I don't know. I just tell it like I have to like command it to stop. Like I just have to. I mean, you once it's going, the air has to go out, but you can tell the lungs to just knock it off. But it takes kind of an effort. Like if I was like in a at a funeral or something, I'm gonna squish them. But if I'm at home, then I'm just gonna let them rip because it takes effort, and it's just easier to let them rip. Now, if I'm out at the restaurant, I'm gonna squash the sneeze because people are all panicky. Sweetheart 1-1. I love the name Eva so much. I named my daughter Eva. Thank you. It's an old timeline name. There's not many people who have that anymore. And you're actually the second person to say that, which actually I don't think 5 years ago I would have ever believed it, frankly. But there's nobody with that name. It was really common before. Now it's Eva and stuff. And maybe that's how you're pronouncing it, because it's easier. Everybody I meet now that has EVA, it's Eva here. And it's just my old timeline, it was all Eva. Girl without eyebrows, kind of like Mona Lisa, but not. I don't get any cramps. That's odd and new for me. Yeah, it's like calf cramps, Charlie horses they call it, where your calf just cramps. And I was getting them. That was quite some time ago, like maybe in the very beginning of the really shifty times, like around 2012. And it took me a while to figure out how to get rid of them, but I always thought it was weird. I'm sleeping, doing nothing, and then my calf just goes. And I mean, it's stupid. Why? It's not when I'm walking down the street. It's not when I'm exercising. I'm sleeping. It never made any sense to me. I can't live without my natural calm magnesium. Lots of Avas. Yeah, that's right. There's lots of Avas. Well, thank you, sweetheart. You are a sweetheart. That is very sweet. I actually am shocked. I mean, the first time I was shocked, so it's old timeline. Ava is new to me. The Evas I know are Eva. That's interesting. I don't know what location you are. So when Eva is not my full first name. There's a little bit more to it, but it's not, Eva is what I think of myself as. So when I picked this kind of nickname, this shortened version of my name, one of the reasons I picked it is because it was very easy. There was only one pronunciation of Eva in my old timeline when did I start doing that? When I was around 20 or so. I was more in business world, and I had to meet a lot of people, and it was getting really kind of a hassle to keep explaining a somewhat complicated name. So okay, I'm just going to go by Eva. Everybody knows how to pronounce Eva. Nobody will be like, huh, what? That's why I picked it. It was just going to be no fuss, no muss. And now it's all fuss and all muss because people haven't heard of the name Eva. They keep mispronouncing it. I mean, it's just weird. I'm not changing it. I feel like it's me now. I finally got attached to it after all these years. So now I've got a new weird name again. It was always a normal name before. This is strange. That was actually one of the things that kind of freaked me out more when I first learned about the Mandela. Besides Arctica and a couple others was, I don't know, Arctica, that's all out there, but my own name changed. I mean, like it did, but it didn't. and I was like, well, maybe it's all a giant coincidence that everybody can't do my name now. But then I just kept meeting more and more of these Evas. Every time they say, "Oh, my name is Eva," and I'd be like, ugh, like trying to hide it because you don't want to act like creeped out when you just met some poor innocent person. But I mean, it's still kind of like that. Yeah, that's what it is, man. A Mandanimal. It's Evelyn. That's my. But see, like, it was Evelyn was complicated back then because and I don't know how it is now, but everybody's when it was long, they would say it was Evelyn, and Evelyn was the British Scottish pronunciation of a person I was named after was Evelyn. So my name was Evelyn, but everybody around here called it Evelyn. And so I had to keep correcting it. It was such a hassle. So I'm like, I'll just go by Eva because Eva was a name for here. Everybody know Eva or Evelyn. That was the two options. So that's why I picked it. Not Evangelion, but yeah, it was Eva Lynn. So yeah, it was just too much of a hassle. My daughter's name. Really? Is it Evelyn? No way. Yes, it's slightly different spelling of that, but yeah, that is interesting. That is very interesting. Lynn goes really good with Eva, so yes, that was my name, Evelyn. Yeah, the spelling is that, but it's pronounced at least in my old timeline. I'm really not sure now, but in Britain and England, and Scotland and some parts of Europe, Evelyn was pronounced Evelyn. So that like famous store was called Crabtree and Evelyn. It was not Crabtree and Evelyn. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of Europe that does it. I don't really know all of them. I know I was named after a Scottish person, and the Scottish person was named Evelyn. But then you come to America, and there's no Evelyns. There's only Evelyns. So that was why it was such a mess. Your mom and I. So my mom was not Scottish. She just had a friend. So she's actually Sicilian, or was Sicilian when she was here. So she had a friend that was from Scotland. I know I'm very light skinned, but that is my other blood. I'm only half Italian. Eva in German is pronounced Effa or Ifa. Okay, so that's the weird names thing. So you've got the old timeline name, which it is my name, but it's not because it's not like my whole name. But I really feel like that is my name. Like it just seemed more right. Okay, so late. I'm on dark chocolate sneezing. Ding, ding, ding. All right, so what they're just saying, okay, I already covered all that. Got it. So yeah, 11 to 35% of people have it. So I don't know how many people watch this show. It's usually around 1,000. So that means like 110 of you should have photic sneezing. At least up to 350 of you should have photic sneezing. So, is that legit? Okay. All right, let me go to this one now. All right, so we have another 9/11 one. And this one was found by commenter on the channel, Soft Kiss Closure. SOFTKISCLOSURE. So good find. I don't think I even remember comments from that person before. Okay, so this is another 9-1-1. So that word that I just said is actually like apparently a keyword that YouTube looks for to downgrade you in the search engines, according to much investigation that somebody did. So a lot of people try to avoid saying the 9-1-1 word. All right, so the news story for such event is that if you remember, Flight 93 was the one that crashed in the field and magically disappeared into a hole in the ground. I mean, I'm not joking. That's the story. That it fell into like some kind of mine shaft and disappeared completely. So that's actually kind of a newer Mandela for me, because originally they just said it like fell and broke up over a wide area into little bitty pieces and you couldn't see it anymore. But now, last I checked, the story is that there was like a mine shaft and it fell in, and that's why you just saw nothing but dirt, and then the mine shaft caved in over the top of it. I'm like, you can't make this stuff up. Okay, actually, you should just check and see if that's still the silly story. Flight 93. But there's more to it now. See if I can get the wiki out. See if that hole in the ground story is still there. Dun-dun-dun. Crash. The plane crashed into a field near a reclaimed coal strip mine known as Diamond T Mine, owned by PBS Coals in Stony Creek Township in Somerset County. Man, they put a lot of detail in there. You know what they say about people who lie is that they put excessive amounts of detail in to make the lie sound more realistic. It kind of reminds me of that. So the story now, it looks like it's still the same as last I checked, that it got flopped into the mine somehow. Nosedive, inverted attitude, left a crater 10 feet deep and 30 feet wide. Now they're arguing with it within a few minutes when it crashed. The only witness to the actual crash, this is interesting, I don't remember there being a witness. The only witness to the actual crash, and the last one to see United 93 Airborne, was Stony Creek resident Nevin Lambert, who reported that he saw the plane upside down as it crashed to the ground in 45-degree angle nosedive. So it's upside down and then coming in like that. Seems kind of... I don't remember anything about that. Kelly Lever Knight said she was watching news of the attacks when she heard the plane. I heard the plane going over, and I went out the front door, and I saw the plane going down. It was headed towards the school. Then you heard the explosion and felt the blast. All right, so they've got 3 witnesses of people nobody ever heard of course. They could have made that up. We don't even know if these people exist. So little tiny bits of debris here. All right, they didn't actually say it fell in the mine, but that's the stories I've been hearing. And that was their story for why there wasn't much debris, because it like fell into the mine. Oh, okay, so they're not saying it fell into the mine. Oh, interesting. Flight 93 fragmented violently. Most of the aircraft wreckage was found near the impact crater. Now, I very much remember seeing footage of the so-called wreckage, and there was like almost nothing there, just tiny little bits of metal. And they said it disintegrated on impact. So if most of the wreckage was found near the impact crater, then the thing really did disappear. Investigators found very light debris, including paper and nylon, scattered up to 8 miles. Other tiny aircraft fragments were found 1.5 miles away at Indian Lake. So if this thing crashes, nose dive at a 45-degree angle, and they're trying to say that like this stuff plumed up like 1.5 miles away. I don't know about that either, to be honest. Up to 8 miles. Okay, maybe paper, but I don't know. It just seems a bit much. But almost nothing was at the site, right? Yeah. Okay. One of the engines unearthed. Okay, so the one I wanted to bring up, though, that's weird, is that supposedly now there's this story that they were gonna kamikaze take down that. So one of the arguments that we always had after this happened is how come two planes flew into the trade center and there was no like response, like they didn't respond after these other flights. Okay, but now they did respond after these other flights, because we're like, what are they, like our whole country and we have no fighter pilots available to, like, you know, protect the country or something, and they hijackers just fly planes everywhere and we're all for like, you know, an hour or two. It seems unlikely, but no, they actually did scramble jets and do some things. But here's the weird story now. So this two fighter pilots were scrambled and they were supposed to go after this plane because it wasn't responding. And so last time we heard about how one of the planes was like trying to ram other planes, but now we have a story that we were going to ram this plane. But so these two fighter pilots scramble, but they don't load any ammunition, okay? I mean, maybe you'd shoot the first few out in a big hurry with ammunition, but wouldn't you then like load some ammo on a couple of fighter jets and then send those out after? Like, I don't know. How long does it take to load a bit of ammo? I mean, does it take hours to load ammo? We don't have any planes ready to like take off, you know, for hours. It seems weird that we wouldn't have any planes with ammo around. We couldn't, you know, get some planes and put some ammo on them within a reasonable time frame and send them off. So no, we have these two fighter jets out with no ammo, no missiles, nothing. And one of them was this female Heather Lucky Penny. Were ordered to intercept this flight, but they got no ammo. Okay. So the plan was she was going to ram it kamikaze style and kill them all, including herself. This is the plan. Like, is this America's genius plan? I mean, maybe they sent her out without ammo because they didn't want her to shoot it. I don't know, but it just seems pretty fishy that you go off without anything. And they don't, you know, she's out there for like an hour and there's no backup coming, no additional fighter jets, nothing. So let's see. And her the other plane out with her, Bill Hutchison, claimed he spotted the plane on his scope and planned to first fire his training rounds onto the engine and then cockpit and then ram the plane with his own jet. So they were going to basically ram it. Then somebody else said, no, you weren't, that's impossible because you weren't in the air until 10:38. Then he got mad and stormed out. I don't know, there's some weird stuff going on here. I don't remember any of this happening. NORAD said no, they were there before it crashed. But the commission said no, they were there after it crashed. But either way, they agreed that the plan was to ram the plane. A commission found that NORAD and FAA gave inaccurate testimony. That's interesting. No, I haven't heard that one either. Anyway, that whole story about the kamikaze mission just seems really weird. I've not heard of any of that. But apparently there was a whole commission on it in 1989. Nope. No, wait. The commission was when? When was the commission? Not 1989. It doesn't even really say, does it, when that commission was? Okay, well, anyway, it's after 9/11. So, yeah, it's old. This is an old story. What did somebody say? The new World Trade. I think it's called World Trade Center 1. So this was on UAP channel. See if I can scrape that one up again. Made this observation. World Trade Center 1. What does it kind of look like? I mean, maybe I'm totally reaching. You're going to load. Oh, no. Oh, there we go. What does that kind of look like? I mean, maybe I'm just stretching. Maybe I'm just reaching. Maybe it's just a giant coincidence. But what does that kind of look like? Story of our times. And you don't have to say it, but it does kind of look like one of those jib jabs. I'm like way behind. Shari, are you already planning your allergies in advance? They're not even saying it's allergies. They're just saying it's photic sneeze response for the sneezing. It's not allergies. Mustard seed of faith is in. The plane was pulverized, but a passport was found in pristine condition. Every couple months another ridiculous thing comes up about 9/11. I'm like, what are we going to get next? 'Cause I don't think it's done. It just gets sillier and sillier. So people who look back on it now, when they say, oh, investigate 9-1-1, and some of the people who are just sort of getting red pilled now look back on it, there's going to be so much stuff. Like, it's going to just it looks more ridiculous every year. It's easier to see how dumb it is every year with the hurricane and the disappearing planes and the passports and a mine shaft. No, for a while I swear they were saying most of it fell in the mine shaft. I can't find it now. I should try looking. So yeah, anyways, I just felt like UAP brought this up, but this is the replacement for the World Trade Center, and doesn't it look like a little arm pokey poke? So I don't know. All right, so did Flight 93 fall in a mine shaft? Is that still a story? Let's see if that story is still floating around. Now they're just saying it. I mean, the wiki just said it fell near a mine shaft. Oh, it's not saying that now. Dog fell down a mine shaft. No, I don't think they're saying it now. They were for a while. They were saying that you couldn't find the bits because it sank into a mine shaft. Dang it. Okay. That one was funny. I wish they had left that one. crash site a place of healing. Okay. Nope, it's not saying anything about it. Okay. Okay. Well, I hope that one comes back because it was extra hilarious. Yep, people say 9-1 was a negative history insertion, just like the mask and the Spanish flu. Yes, there's definitely like stuff from now going back in time, but. So yeah, no, I swear for a while they were saying it fell in the mine shaft and that's why you couldn't find debris. And I checked on that one too. But now there's nothing. Now they're just saying it's near a mine shaft. Why even say it's near a mine shaft? Who cares if the stuff didn't fall in it? So I don't know. This is just weird. Sneezing chocolate spreads freckles. I don't think Eva is a weird name. You know, I mean, it's not. It's just, especially in the current era where a lot of people have unusual, they're trying to come up with different sounding names. So yeah, no, I wouldn't say it's weird. But for me it is, because that was just like John or something. It was a really common name. Jeff, Fred, Eva, Maria, Carrie, you know, and now that's like an alternate pronunciation. It's not the standard pronunciation. So to me, but I guess in the current timeline, names are really wacky. So that one's not that wacky. Who knows what people are going to be named in another 20 years at this rate. Watched Groundhog Day, very good movie, good moral to the story. You know, I thought it was an okay movie at the time, but it kind of took on a lot more meaning with the Mandela and stuff, you know. Just stuff, there's like all these different versions. I mean, it seems more plausible in a way. It's like, or it has some kind of something. My cousin is called Eva Marie. Maria. Eva Maria or Eva Maria. Those two go good together. Scare performance had a nice Mandela. What time elapsed between the first plane and the second plane? 2 hour in between, 1 hour, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, or 15 minutes. Darn, I am not sure. So, Bit of Venom, you're in charge of this Mandela. So, you have to tell us. I really am not. There's certain things I'm really good at, but like numbers, I'm not so good at numbers. I really have to put in a lot more effort to remember numbers. So, like, amount, I mean, like, I'll remember the order of things. I'll remember weird stuff, things that don't make sense, but like numbers, like, I can't ever remember the name of the flight. I got to look it up. It's always that one that crashed in the field. The only reason I could say it is because I wrote it down here so I wouldn't forget. So there's, you know, the first plane that crashed into the tower, the second plane that crashed into the tower, the one that crashed into the field. That's how I remember them. Yeah, it wasn't long, though, between the first and second planes. It wasn't long. I do remember that. They didn't have that much time to chatter about it. So I don't think it was like 2 hours. I don't know. I can't swear to it. More than 15 minutes. 9/11 is like living Groundhog Day. Yeah, huh? I don't know. It's true. The past is like Groundhog Day. You just keep seeing the versions. You know, I was looking at the time zones and it just occurred to me earlier. I keep looking at the time zones because they used to be so neat and clean, by the hour, cut really straight. And now it's wacky. This is a big one. I mean, it's big as far as the file. The US ones seem to be getting a little better. Let's just pull up USA time zones. So that used to be really clean, the time zones for the USA. And then for a while it was really bad. And it seems like, because it was just like zigzaggy and totally wacky, but it kind of seems like it's straightening out again. You know, there's still stuff you look at, like why is there one little chunk of Oregon in the mountain time zone? Why wouldn't they just cut it right here at the border, like the old times? And like all of this, why is this all this chewy chunks here all in the mountain? Why don't they just cut it at the border? Like this is the stuff they used to do. They would cut them at the borders, nice and clean. You know, there's no reason to be like all ziggy-zaggy. And I have not been able to find any reason for this ridiculousness. I mean, just cut it at the border. What ridiculous is this? You know, so over here, why is Indiana got like some of one time zone and some of another? Just cut it at the border. Anyway, so, but it's cleaner than it was. I mean, this was really bad for a while. It was really ziggy-zaggy for a while. So I'm wondering, like, when we get to our final position, will it be, like, clean again? Will it all make sense on these time zones? Do we know we've arrived at the new place if these time zones clean up and get all nice and orderly again? So I'm kind of wondering if maybe we're over the hump now. I don't know. I don't know exactly what I'm saying, but it just seems like they were all perfect, and then it was crazy, and now it's starting to clean up again. And I kind of feel that way with the global ones. Look a little less crabby and crappy than I remember. Let's try this one. This one looks better. Get rid of that one. Okay, so see, it seems like it's a little more orderly now. Britain here with this one. There's only a few pieces that look really stupid now. It's still a mess over here. So I remember Britain not making sense, but now it does. So it's right over the top of this color one. See if I can find a better color. There. Oh, here, this one looks nice. Something you can really see. So it's looking better now. So this one's an interesting one here because a lot of us think that the Alaska and this like arm has really stretched out, and you can see it in the timelines. The timelines have stretched, literally time zones have stretched out to match. So if this area here was smaller, then this all would line up evenly, but it's all stretched out. So you almost feel like you can see the latest changes by looking at, you can see the vestiges of where it was in these timelines, but not timelines, time zones, but not going way back, but you can see kind of the latest activity sort of. It feels like that sometimes. So let's see, where have we seen a lot of movement lately? Over here looks pretty good. Now the stuff that's coming in new, I would guess would just pop in well aligned. Okay, so here's Madagascar. This is kind of a good example. Now I remember Madagascar is smaller and more in towards the coast. So it would make more sense for it to be purple if it was smaller in with the coast, because right now it's out more like Oman and all of these others. And then this is all orange, so why wouldn't this be either orange or yellow? Stuff like that. Here's another example. This is weird. So why is it purple over here and purple over here, but it has all this in between? Australia can't figure out what it's doing. We know there's been a lot of change in here, but it looks totally helter-skelter in here. But see, now I haven't seen a lot of change in Russia for a while, and it looks It's starting to look orderly over here. It's looking more orderly than I've seen it for a while. So I'm just wondering, are we getting done? Are we coming down the home stretch? Are we like 65% done? Mountain time zone was something I never heard of before. I mean, that's interesting. Now, I do remember there always was 4 for me. Pacific Standard Mountain. What was the other one? Now I can't remember. So I'm Pacific, so obviously I'm going to remember that. Oh, Central. Yes, that's it. Pacific, Mountain, Central, and Eastern. Eastern. Pacific, Mountain, Central, Eastern. Somehow those names seem a little off. I remember there being 4. Remember there being Mountain, and Central. I don't remember Eastern being called Eastern, though. Is there another word for it? No, it's Eastern. Huh. Okay. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I thought there was another word for that one. Oh, this is weird. These maps, this map does not match this map. This map doesn't match that map. What's going on? Okay. Some of this might be because some of the states switch over their time changes at a different time, but the boundaries should still be the same. And so this is confusing me a little bit because see, there's a weird zigzag here, but not here. So I could see this one fluctuating was if Arizona switches at a different time than us. Okay, so that'll explain the difference between those. But see, there's like a little finger on there that's not on here, and it's not on there. So basically, there's a difference between this one, and that one. I mean, what's going on with this one? All right, let me just click on this. In 1913. Okay, so that's the explanation. All right, now what's going on with that one? There's no excuse for this one. Is it wrong? Okay, so see, you can see here, this is not on the rest of these maps. It's not there. Oh, okay. So some of these have more than one time zone. Man, this is like ridiculous. Oh, okay. Okay. So they're just saying that there's more than one time zone per state. That's not that big a deal. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe the universe can't even keep track of as many own versions. This is the kind of rabbit hole. I look up one thing and then I go, wait a minute, that looks wrong too. Eastern Standard. That sounds better, Eastern Standard. Maybe that's it, Eastern Standard. I think I just called it Standard. Pacific, Central, Mountain. Pacific and Mountain. We used to always get Pacific and Mountain, then it was Central and Standard. I think I just called it Standard. Did you ever read about the reset in the 1870s? So that fits in with the whole Tartaria thing. What constitutes an old fart? What age do we hit fart status? It's always like 15 years older than my age. That's when you hit it. Wherever I am, we aren't there yet. That's my rule, and I'm sticking to it. I might change my mind later, though. I'm kind of fickle that way. Yeah, I'm on Brave browser. After 20 years, people are posting their videos made with their handy cams online. What were they waiting for? I know in the last, 10 years, all stuff have shown up, from 200 years ago, it was found in a drawer. Answers to all these mysteries were hiding in plain sight. It was found in some back corner of some museum, like all this stuff, drawers, closets. I mean, never in the history of ever had so many things been found in closets in just a few years. Okay, so what was the answer between the time between the two flights? Did I miss it? So the Tartaria, one of the theories is that there might be a big chunk of time missing. So that actually kind of makes me laugh because I really thought like 2 years ago they were saying there was a big chunk of time added, like 1,000 years were added. Then wait, okay, let me remember my story straight. Um, yeah, I thought it was added, and now we're at subtracted. Like they chopped out like 1,000 years, and they think that that was the millennial reign of Christ, that 1,000 years. So it just seems like the story kind of flip flops around for me a lot. But that's a real popular theory that not first it was just that there was a reset and a mud flood, and then there's like chopped out time. And some of it is pretty good evidence too. Like um, they show like let's see. Oh, God, I sound like QAnon now. I say it's good, but I can't explain why. So they'll show like how certain histories totally match another chunk of history, like they're covering over stuff, and they're just like copying history over and just giving it slightly different names. But maybe there's just like a cyclical things that cause that. I don't know, but there's just it's not smoking gun because you could go, well, there's alternate explanations. So that's what's kind of interesting about it. There's enough to make you go, but there's still not enough to convince like a diehard skeptic. But it just there's a lot of beautiful old buildings and scenery. So even if I don't really agree with what they're saying, or I'm not sure, I really like watching them. Just these guys dig up so many beautiful old things and really weird looking old photos. UAP does a lot of that. UAP. Sometimes I listen to his. All right. So anyway, yes, World Trade Center. Now there was a attempted kamikaze run because they couldn't get ammunition loaded into the fighter jets, and apparently we don't have any fighter jets sitting around ready to go in case of an emergency. So got the chart. Okay, last one. This is just kind of a warning. I'm quite sure this was not the case before because I had a dog, and my dog was exactly the kind of little stinker or medium-sized stinker that would do this, and in fact did get hosed once in the face, point blank, by a little, no longer single striped little beastie known as a skunk. So I actually did extensive research on the skunk business. First of all, I used to work for Petco before there was really internet, and it was a constant problem. People, oh, my dog got hit by a skunk. What do I do? And we had some stuff that was supposed to work for it, but they would always buy it and say, it didn't really work. What do I do? And we didn't have a good answer. So it stuck in my head for that reason, because I hate it when I can't help people. That was my job. And of course, I felt really sorry for the dog and the human. And then later, I had a dog, and there was internet. and I researched a lot, and there was not a lot of info on the internet when it was first being developed. But after a few years, I started to hear the magical solution, and that was hydrogen peroxide, baking soda, and a dash of like dishwashing liquid or something, soap. And that was the magic solution. And if you got your dog hosed by a skunk, you would put that on there. Now, I researched the whole science, everything about skunk spray and why the hydrogen peroxide with the baking soda. You can't make it in advance. You have to keep them separate, and then you mix them. And it's about, 15 to 1 hydrogen peroxide to baking soda. So it's mostly hydrogen and a little bit of baking soda. And then the soap is just to help it spread around mostly. It's not really needed for the overall thing. It's not mission critical. I read all on the makeup of the skunk material and why the hydrogen peroxide worked and the whole chemistry. I read everything about freaking skunk spray. And indeed, my dog got hosed by a skunk, point blank. And it is nasty. And I was able to get 99% of the smell off with my magical solution that I had ready to roll. And then I researched more on it. And so this came out of the blue, I'm telling you. And they're now saying that skunk spray is actually poisonous to dogs. It's just not just stinky, like that wasn't enough for this timeline. No, it's poisonous. And if it gets in their mouth, like if they're like biting and it sprays right in, or in their eyes, they can actually die from this poison. So they said if there's continuous vomiting, you'll have to rush them to the vet. One barf is okay, but if they continuously vomit, goes to the vet. So they're saying it's like a chemical that's similar to what's in onions and stuff. So onions can make dogs a little anemic, but I've never really heard of a dog like keeling over from onions. Maybe it's possible, I don't know, but so it's saying skunk spray has a toxic element that operates like the one in garlic and onion, which has already been proven deadly to dogs. So I'm like a little suspicious on this, because I know a lot of dogs that have gotten their little teethies on some garlic and onions at times, and I don't know, maybe they just didn't eat enough. And it only causes anemia, but it's usually just a little fatigue. I've never seen a dog, frankly, I've never seen a dog eat that stuff and show any obvious signs of anything. The toxins cause anemia and damage key organs in the body. Some amount of vomiting is expected, but following a skunk spray. But if it doesn't seem to stop, something more serious may be happening. The longer you wait, the lower your chances of dog surviving. The vet will give your dog fluids and help some dogs recover. And this helps some dogs recover. Just fluids? That's all they got? Yeah, I don't know. So it just, I don't know, but it's everywhere that it's toxic. So I wonder if it just came out, but did they not know this before? How did they figure it out now? See, this is 2 days ago, so are they making it up? Thiols present in skunk spray can react with red blood cells in the dog's body, causing methemoglobinemia. This hemoglobin abnormality interferes with delivery of oxygen throughout the body. Affected dogs may develop pale or brown gums, lethargy, and weakness, with these signs developing hours to days after initial skunk episode. Methemoglobinemia is a medical emergency. If sprays get in your dog's eyes, corneal damage may occur. I've freaking never heard of that. Affected dogs may have red, swollen, or watery eyes, combined with brief periods of blindness. Rinse your dog's eyes with water for 20 minutes to flush the spray out. If the eyes remain red, veterinary care may be needed. All right, and then the rabies thing is only if the skunk bites you. Check out that skunk. Have you ever seen a skunk with that coloration with 3 spots on the face like that? So there's a lot of kind of skunks now. None look like the old world skunk, but Skunk spray is not typically absorbed across the skin, so the toxicity risk is if it goes into the nose, mouth, or eyes. If you ingested a large amount of spray, you should contact your vet. The vet will can take blood tests to determine if treatment is needed. All right, then they talk about my favorite mix for the removal. That hasn't changed in this timeline. 4 cups, 3% hydrogen peroxide, 1/4 cup baking soda, and a dash of liquid detergent. Don't get that in the eyes because it will burn and your dog will hate you. I mean, it burns like strong soap burns. I mean, you're not going to burn, but your dog will hate you. 15 minutes between the two hits. Between hit 1 and hit 2 of the World Trade Center. I'm just not sure on that one. I really can't come down too hard on any opinions. It was quite some time ago. Maybe 2 hours in the old timeline is like 15 minutes in this timeline, though. I reckon would be smoking gun is if I find someone has an autobiographical memory, but they would also have to be ME'd. Yeah, there's something weird about that whole thing. I've met people who claim they used to have a photographic memory, but that they lost it when they were older. And I don't know anybody that I really knew, personally, beyond that one person that claims this. So I'm not sure how real that really is. So yeah, tomato does not work for skunk, FYI. All you'll have is tomato stinking skunk. It does not block any of the smell. It doesn't hide it. I kind of wonder maybe once in a timeline it did, like 30 years ago or something. But ever since I've researched it, it was useless. I mean, it's such a popular statement, and it is acidic, so maybe early forms of skunk stink, it did work, but we aren't there anymore. Repeatedly, the stink stays somewhat until the dog sheds. Yeah, so really though, the hydrogen of all of the stuff that we've ever used, including the expensive bottles, $20 expensive bottles of crap, none of it has worked as good as 3% hydrogen peroxide, which costs like a thing of it this big costs like $1 literally at the store in America, and baking soda is equally cheap. So for like $3 or $6, you could have a pretty big bolus of this stuff. And what you do is you get your dog when it's still outside. Don't bring him in the house until he has one treatment, because your house is going to stink, and you can hose down a dog a lot easier than you can hose down a house. So outside, you wet him down a little, and you splather this all over the dog, except for in the eyes. And maybe just kind of not too close to the eyes for the first round. And slather them up real good and get the soap going. So you mix the ingredients and then you slather it on, like in a separate bowl, and slather it on. Rinse them outside. Now, once you do one round of this, then the majority of the stink is off, and now you can kind of towel them down a little. You can bring them into the house to the shower and then do another one of the same thing. And hopefully he's calmed down enough you can get a little closer on the eyes. Take off any collars or anything and set those aside and attempt to treat those separately with the same potion. But most of the time you'll end up chucking that collar. It's just really hard to get it out. So that'll get rid of 99% of it. And your dog will just smell vaguely of skunk really far away. And it doesn't get on things, it's down inside the dog. So your dog will smell a little funny every time it gets wet for like months, but it won't be like horrible. It'll just be like, you smell kind of funny. So if you do that twice, thorough hosings and rinsings, you'll be all right. The dog can stay in the house. You won't be crying into your tea. Tomato used to work before. A friend of mine was sprayed and he used tomato and it worked. Yeah, I don't, it's the official word is it doesn't do nothing now. Now, like I said, it might have worked at one time. I'm very suspicious of that because, oh, there's one I almost forgot. I was talking to somebody who has Native American. She's Native American. And, I don't claim to be the expert of ever when it comes to all the tribes, but I swear that the tribe up kind of north near Canada was called the Blackfoot tribe. Blackfoot. And it is no longer called that. And I saw it mentioned a few months ago, the new for me name, and I'm like, I should know by now, but I thought the other guy made a mistake. But nope, that's the new old name. And according to this person I talked to, it's always been the name. And according to her, everybody just all says it wrong, and she has no idea why, and it's a common misconception. So it has Mandela all over it. But I swear I have never heard of I have only heard of the Blackfoot tribe. In America, I should add. So there's a little bit of a confuser in here now. I don't know the Canadian tribes. So now there was a Blackfoot Confederacy, which is a historic name for a bunch of different tribes that were all related. But the tribe in America is the Blackfeet people or nation or tribe. Blackfeet tribe. So they're not Blackfoot anymore. They're Blackfeet. Blackfeet Nation. That's the American one. Now, there's a little tiny Blackfoot tribe in Canada. I don't know how tiny they are, actually. They might not be tiny. But there's a tribe in Canada called Blackfoot. But I just have never heard of this Blackfeet one. So my understanding is the tribe was named because they wore black-colored shoes. I would assume they were moccasins or whatever kinds of shoes that they wore, but they were black. It was traditional to have these black, so they were named. So it makes sense. Blackfoot names make sense. Blackfeet makes sense. You could go either way, but I really am suspicious of this one. It's another one I can't swear to, but really, like, everybody and his uncle says it wrong for like no reason whatsoever, except for they're just wrong. Kind of really sounds like a Mandela. And I swear, I saw this, I'm like, what? That's not right, Blackfeet. I've never heard of it. Okay, so that really is the last one. I forgot about that one. I'm going to write that down real quick. Yeah, it was kind of interesting. I had a long chat with her. She was telling me how the things in the global situation are going down in her nation, the Blackfeet Nation, in this timeline. Liza remembers Blackfoot. Proud Feet. I don't know. I've not heard of that, but it could be a different one. Just shave old Fluffy and get it over with. You know what? If you do the double shampooings, then they're fine. I mean, you're still going to smell it if you stuff your nose in there, but it's really, skunk from really, really, really far away, vague smell is not that bad. It's just when it's fresh and strong. Blackfoot. Okay, Mandanimal remembers Blackfoot. Yeah, so according to her, everybody just says it wrong. I just think she's from a different timeline than me. So what's been going on with the global stuff in her nation, there's been a lot of fake news, according to her. So one of the fake newses that's been going around is a Native American tribe, this one or that one or whatever, devastated by the magical C-19 cases. Devastated. These tribes devastated. All these people died. Okay, so she was hearing that about her own tribe, and she has very good connections in the tribe. She knows what's going on. She works in administration in the tribe. She knows exactly what's going on in the tribe. And she said it's all hooey. Like, They've only had 2 cases. This is a big nation. Okay. Blackfeet Nation in the USA is big. She said there's only 2 cases on the reservation, or their territory, I like to call it. And they were younger people, and they were fine. And so there's no devastation. The tribe, she said, her tribe is only about 5% got the jib jab. So like 95% of them did not get the jib jab, and they're fine. They never shut down their school, and they have 2 schools on that territory. I think elementary and middle, I think it was. I'm not sure exactly, but they never shut down their schools. The government sent the FBI to drive into their nation unannounced and pressure them into shutting down their schools, buying PPE, buying jib jabs, and they said, no, we're not doing it. But then the FBI said, you have to. You have to. And they said, no, we don't have to. And they didn't do it. And they're fine. So she also heard that the Ojibwe tribe up in Canada, she heard they were, on the news, devastated by all these deaths. So the nations all have a lot of communication between them. They all keep tabs on each other. They work together on a lot of projects. They keep each other updated and everything that's going on. So she called her friends over in that tribe in Canada and asked them, and they had no idea what the news was talking about. They're like, everything's fine. There's no problems here. We're perfectly fine. So something's, there's a lot of baloney going around on the news right now, just so you guys understand that I hear this all the time. So-and-so regrets not doing such and said such and such on their deathbed. If you could actually get back to that person, there's been several people who have come out and said, no, I never said that. I never said I regretted my choice, blah, blah, blah. The news is like making up stuff at this point, and they're making up about the tribes. 5%. Apparently, the native, or at least her tribe, and she feels that this is pretty common across other tribes, have been very distrusting of this situation, and they're not going along with it. Now, she did say that they shut they kind of like went under lockdown, but she said the lockdown was basically like they blocked all the entrances. So their lockdown is like, if you're not native, you can't go in, because they were trying to cut back on people, infections coming in and out. So like, you're not native, then stay out. But inside, behind there, they're all just living normal, schools open, parties, whatever, the regular. So that was very interesting. Okay, everybody remembers Blackfoot. Nobody ever heard of Blackfeet. Mandanimal, Eliza Powell, Pugsley. Anybody seen the new Money Bags? It was so weird I couldn't stand more than 5 minutes of it. Nope. Have not seen it. The fake news, yeah. Just be careful of your terminology, Art. We use euphemisms, because, of course, we would never on this channel go against our government overlords and do exactly what they say at all times. And those bad native people should never do these bad things, right? Because if we don't agree, then the whole show gets canceled by our wonderful people at YouTube. And that is why we use euphemisms. Governments, a couple countries started giving out packages of zinc, Ivor, the magical treatment that shall not be named, vitamin D, yes. I know more than a few, large sections of India, I believe, darn it, who all was doing it? Egypt, I think it was. It was one of those countries. There's a lot of people just doing it on their own. They've been online, they see the rumors, and they're taking things into their own hands. So that magical treatment that shall not be named is easily available in many countries too. Like, we need a prescription for it here, but most countries you can just get it off the shelf at the pharmacy. You don't need a script. So it's very hard for them to block access when it's sitting there on the shelf for anybody to grab. Anyway, I'll check out Moneybags ones. I try not to, like, complain too much about people on this channel, as I just don't want to go that route. But you have put out a vid yesterday showing solidarity around the world. Yes, this is the in it together that I want to see on UP's channel. Shows the in it together, let's be in it together that I want to see. But it just goes to show, though, I mean, the TV can really pull you in with their stories, and just be careful. Check on things before you accept them, because it's very convincing, and I did not have an accurate view at all at what was going on in the native populations because of all the stuff I'd heard, and I should know better. So you got to hear it from the horse's mouth. Pardon the pun there on the treatment that shall not be named. My parents sent me some Ivar something. Yes. You can get it easily in other countries. BitChute is not letting you watch some videos when your VPN is on Germany and some other countries, especially if you want to watch Cliff High. So, I don't know if that's because Germany made them do that. We'll have to check into that. If BitChute is going down. So my understanding is BitChute operates out of Britain, out of the UK, and that might make them extremely vulnerable because they pretty much have to kowtow at least some to the UK. So I don't know. I've been worried about them. Chief Big Horse. I hope no natives take that personally, but it is funny considering the item that shall not be named. So yeah, BitChute, I don't know what's going to go down with them unless they can somehow move out of the UK. I'm surprised that they've gotten away as much as they have. I'm hoping Odyssey will be able to keep it together. If you want something that's like Reddit, but is not Reddit and is fairly like Reddit used to be, like each group is run by the moderators and they run pretty much how they want, as long as you don't try to like advocate killing people or something. It's pretty wild and woolly. It is very right wing over there, but not everybody is. So if you can't stand, right wing banner, then it wouldn't be for you. But I'm not right wing, but I can tolerate that stuff. And that's communities.win, and it's just spelled communities like communities .win, and that's like the precursor to Reddit. And they're starting already to ban links to there. So they have stuff like No New Normal, and they have the Donald and a bunch of right-wing stuffs over there. They also have like conspiracy group, and they're fairly active. Like No New Normal is like super active. So you want to go over there and just complain about global rules or something, that's a good place. And they also do post a lot of the latest information, like studies and research and like that. So that's also nice. So it's basically, I didn't realize this, and it's very interesting, but there were 3 founders of Reddit, and one of them, supposedly, you kind of wonder now, committed suicide. And the one that committed suicide was this guy, assuming he even did, which I think is, from all we've seen, maybe up for question. But he was very, very free speech guy. Just, we have to keep the internet free speech, and even if you don't like their ideas, they should be allowed to say them. And he was very much like that. And they actually wrote him out of the history. So now if you read the founders of Reddit, there's only the 2 guys mentioned, and he's been removed from history. But he apparently was responsible for the software of Reddit being open source. So that means anybody can take that software and use it for themselves. It's completely open source. So that's basically what communities.win did. Their programmers just grabbed the Reddit open source software and plunked it down on their server and tidied up and, you know, made some additions to it and stuff. But that's why it runs like Reddit. It's very, very similar to Reddit. So if you're used to Reddit, but you want to like cut loose, then that's kind of the place to go. It's getting busier all the time because Reddit keeps kicking people off, and then they just go over to communities and they can pretty much pick it up really fast since the layout's the same. If you like the Reddit style, then you know it's the same. Our Conspiracy is the subreddit on Reddit. So a subreddit is like a group of for a particular subject within the overall Reddit. So conspiracy is like a huge one. And conspiracy used to deal a lot with, you know, Bigfoot and aliens and but you know, in recent years they got first a bunch of Trump QAnon stuff, and now of course it's the you know, the jib jab and freedoms and all that stuff is the main subject. So people managed to get like No New Normal kicked off of Reddit. That's why they're on Win now. Conspiracies Win. And conspiracy group now has a lot of that same stuff on it. So they're really after conspiracy. So one of the things that they do is they people who want to take out our conspiracy will make fake accounts, and they'll go on there and they'll post a lot of rule breaking stuff like violent content and like that. And then the moderators have to get that cleaned up. And if they don't get it cleaned up fast enough, then the argument is made, look at all these rule-breaking posts on this sub. This can't be allowed. We have to ban them. So there's a lot of things that they do, basically. Check out Carrie Cassidy on Project Camelot. She's on BitChute. I don't know that one. What was the alternate? So the alternate thing is, I'll type it in. Communities.win. So it's right here. COMMUNITIES.WIN. Okay, so now I'm at their homepage, which has all the different communities. So they said they're going to open up more communities soon. I know they're working on it. So there's some of the regular ones, animals, DIY, meta, news, No New Normal, the Donald. I don't know what some of these are. You know, they might have opened it up to guns. ANCAPs is like anarcho-capitalists, Christianity, the Great Awakening. That's like the QAnon one. And I know there's conspiracy on here somewhere too. Funny, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so No New Normal here. Boink. No New Normal is crazy busy. It's almost as busy as it was on Reddit. So these are pinned. That's why they're on the top. So all of these have been like the last 24 hours all the way down. So what, there's like, how many is that? All of those are the last 24 hours. All of these. I don't know, what is that like? It's like, what, 150 posts or something? I'm still scrolling these are all ones from the past 24 hours. So yes, it's very busy. All right, now I've hit 1 day ago, but then it's back to 24 hours again. So, you know, there's all kinds of, you know, snarky posts, informational posts, blah, blah. And it has the same voting system as Reddit. There's some slight differences in rules, but, I mean, basically there's not that many rules. So the flavor of the subreddit is going to be, they don't call them subreddits there. They call them wins or groups or something like that. But it's actually somewhat verboten to call them subreddits, but I forget anyway. So each group is basically got the flavor that the moderator gives it, or moderators. This is an extra sad one. That this woman has a blood clotting disorder, and she's pregnant, and she's a nurse, and she didn't want to get the jib jab, so she's getting fired because there's no exceptions. Seems a little cruel if you ask me. Okay, anyway, so that's about it. I'm done, and thank you for contributing some stuff. Really appreciate it. Managed to go over 2 hours somehow. So anyway, you know, keep looking for the loopholes. It does kind of feel like more people are starting to notice some things and be a little more open-minded about thinking outside the box. And I don't know if that's a shift or what, but it does seem like it. And we've definitely seen a little bit of the pulling back, but, you know, we still got a ways to go. So keep looking for your loopholes. Fingers crossed. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.